Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Tones TV. Today I got Jay with me. We are doing a breakdown to Stranger Things Volume 1, Season 5, Volume 1. And this is a long time coming. We've waited over 3 years for this season. We have so many thoughts. I rewatched Season 1 through 4 before the Season 5 dropped. And I'm grateful that I did because I forgot a lot of shit as my second rewatch. But leading into Season 5, it hit exactly how I wanted it to hit. We're gonna go over our thoughts, but Jay, thank you for joining me on this one. I appreciate you, brother.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome. I mean, I've said this to other people before, but Stranger Things is my favorite TV show of all time. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
I there's not a better TV show in my mind. I'm also a big fan, just so people out there know like what kind of shows that I like. I also am a big fan of Daredevil, the Netflix version. I'm also a big fan of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So like for me, it's like I love like really getting into a show. If it's sci-fi, that's even better. I like The Wire too. By the way, The Wire was amazing. Game of Thrones. You and I talk about Game of Thrones all the time.
Mhm.
I love all those shows, but this is my favorite of all of them, dude. Like the show is so good.
Yeah, it took me. I remember when I first watched Stranger Things, it took me a minute to get used to it, and then I think I dropped it for like a couple months.
Ah,
My niece actually, she was like, "Can you watch Stranger Things with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll watch it." And the first couple episodes, I was like, "I don't remember it being this good."
yeah,
And so, it does take a minute for it to ramp up, but at the same
Mhm.
time, the storyline was interesting from the get go.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
wanted to see what happened to Will. I wanted to see if they got Will back, and then eventually I was hooked. I was
yeah,
so fucking hooked
yeah.
after that. And then, um, it's getting to be in my top 10 for sure of Stranger Things of all TV shows. Of
Mm,
course, what kind of TV shows I like. I like
mhm,
the fantasy where it's
mhm,
medieval times. Like that's my kind of show. But
mhm.
this show took me by surprise, and it ending the way I think it's going to end, it's going to be possibly in a top 5 situation too,
Yeah, dude.
because of this
So good.
ending.
It's so good.
Um, but yeah, leading into season 1, or season 5 rather, volume 1, what did you anticipate before we actually go into what we saw? What did you
Ooh,
anticipate to see? Did you expect us
yeah.
to get what we got in the first volume?
Um, Somewhat. Some things I did anticipate a little bit of, but then there were some things that were a big surprise to me as well, and like things that I probably should have thought of, but I just didn't think of. Like for example, one of the things I really liked was, you know, Will is struggling because, and by the way, I am not as young as these characters are supposed to be, in the 80s. I'm sorry, I'm a little younger than them than what they're supposed to be because I was
Yeah.
like a really young kid in the 80s, but I was born in the 80s and then had my teenager years in the 90s. So like I know what it's like to like for there to be like what was it like to be a gay? I'm not gay, but like I don't know what it was like to be gay, but I know that it was not as simple as it is today. You
Yeah,
know
it
what I mean? Like,
wasn't
I'm not saying I'm
acceptable.
not saying it's simple, but like it was a tough. You had to
Yeah.
navigate that. Like it was a thing you had to navigate. So the aspects of like Robin being gay and then like her connecting with Will about that, I thought was awesome. Like I was not
Yes.
expecting that. I don't know why in my head I wasn't expecting that. But I thought that that was really cool way of like bringing two characters together that you otherwise wouldn't assume had anything to relate to one another, but they actually do have a lot to relate to one another. So I thought that was really cool. Um, I did when we'll get into like episode 4 and like where it ends. I did think that Will was going to be, and they already said this because we've all seen like the promo about this season. I did think Will was going to take a bigger role, so I kind of understood that part of it. Trying to think of what else. Like the thing I didn't think I anticipated at all either, which I should have, but I just wasn't. They've never made Dustin a serious character. He's
Hmm.
always like the jokester guy, right?
And
So the
that's pissed a
fact
lot
that
of people off too.
yeah, and but I actually think it makes sense from where he ended season 4.
Absolutely.
So I thought that was really interesting. I do think that there's a little bit of there's a few things in the show that, so one of the things I'll say is like there's going to be a bunch of these people, a bunch of people that watch this video that are like fans and super fans. And I just
Yeah.
have to let you know in advance, it is my favorite show of all time. But I am a writer and I am a director, and so I have to view it from that lens, which means that there will be some things I say about this that I found to be difficult for me having the experience that I have
Yeah.
and saying like I would probably do it a little bit differently. So I'm just warning people out there. I'm not shitting on the show. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not doing any of those things. It's my favorite show. I'm just saying there's a few things that I would change because they kind of hit me like, oh, I didn't expect that. And a couple, and one of those things, which is a really minor complaint, but like I don't have any problem with swearing. I don't have any problem with like, yeah, whatever, if you want to put swear. I mean, but from a writing perspective, sometimes what like I'll think like, hey, you're overutilizing certain swear words. Like if you rely on the F word all the time, then I'm like, I kind of like takes the F word and diminishes its usefulness, right?
Yeah.
Well, I felt that way about them saying Jesus Christ and goddamn, because it's almost like they're like, hey, we can't say the F word, so we're gonna say those. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't mind you doing that, but you're doing it so often that if
Yeah.
it starts to become noticeable, it takes me out of the storyline a little bit. You know
I
what I
noticed
mean?
that on my second rewatch as well. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that until the second rewatch that when Henderson and or when Dustin and Steve were talking, he was like, Jesus Christ, like a
Yeah.
couple times, if I'm
They
not
do it a
mistaken.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you took a shot every time they did it, you'd be wasted.
Yep.
So and again, that's not like bad. It's not like I'm saying like that's bad. I'm just saying it's like, oh, I could be better. You could use
Yeah.
other words there that would be more interesting. I mean, because I think part of it too is that Stranger Things has actually utilized other words. Like Erica is really creative with her insults. Dustin has been really creative with his insults. Robin was calling people dingus. That was really
Yeah.
funny. Like we haven't heard that in years, you know? So like
Yeah.
I think that part of it is like, oh, my expectation for this show is so high and I love it so much that if certain things hit me off kilter, I'm like, oh, that's weird. But overall though, I have to say, like, let's just say this. I want to hear your take on this too. If Dear Billy from season 4 is a 10 out of 10 episode, which in my opinion it is. Like it is like Dear Billy is peak television. Like you cannot get any better than Dear Billy. Like that is just a phenomenal episode of television. So I consider that a 10 out of 10. If that's a 10 out of 10, then I would say like episode 1 of volume 4 of season 5 is a solid 8. I think episode 2 is like an 8.5. I think episode 3 is like a 9, maybe a 9.5. I loved episode 3. I thought episode 3 it was like exactly what I want out of Stranger Things. And then I think episode 4 maybe it's like a 7, 7.5. I know people are going to be like, "What are you talking about? That's my
Really?
favorite episode." But I will tell you why. I'll explain why as we talk about all this.
Okay.
But what
Yeah.
are your like ratings of those?
Oh, I thought 1 and 4 were great. 1 and 4 were absolutely amazing. People dislike the way it started off. And 19 months later, and they put a band-aid over the cracks in the floor, which I get. That was kind of weird. I didn't understand that, but I guess it was just a way of covering it. Whatever. The whole, Hawkins is the military's there and Hawkins taking over. People dislike that they pretty much dismissed the ending of season 4 and like just did what, but I like that. There's 8 episodes. There's so much shit they have to get through. Like that we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to worry. Like I understand your frustration or people's frustration, but we don't need to worry about it. There's other things we need to worry about, in my opinion. So 1, 4, episode 2 was the worst for me. I didn't like episode 2 that much, but it was just really slow. Half of episode 3 was slow, and then the ending of season, or the back half of episode 3 was good, and then episode 4 was my favorite. I'll get into. I want to get that at the end of what episode 4 was.
We'll go to the end for sure.
But season 1, let's talk Dustin. Let's start with Dustin, because a lot of people are frustrated with his character and Steve's character. They're fighting. I think, and I don't understand why people aren't seeing this. Dustin, he might be the jolly guy that we've all seen, and he's supposed to be the light at the end of the tunnel, and people go to him to smile. He just experienced his best friend getting killed, and it was depressing. He died in his hands. How do you expect him to feel?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How do you expect him to act 19 months later? Like and some people hate that he's being this, like, not giving a fuck about anything or any repercussions about what he does. But that's what happens when something traumatic like that happens. Like that's that's the beauty of the writing of Dustin so far in this season and in episode 1. And no, he kind of sizzles out towards the end of season or episode 4. He's not as rebellious because there's so much shit going on.
Yeah,
but
right.
but within what we saw with episode 1 and Dustin's character, I liked it because we got to see his funny side, but the serious side is actually necessary for his arc. And that's what I loved about Dustin's character so far. But what about you, Jay?
No, yeah, I mean, what we've learned this lesson over the last 15 years. We've learned this lesson really, really well. And I say 15 years primarily because that's the amount of time we've had social media, right? Like, so we've learned a lesson that audiences really struggle when you bring a character back and they're not the same as the character was beforehand. I think what you can do is you can bring a character back. So let's just say that season 4 had ended with like us seeing that Dustin had changed. Like we saw his physical change. We saw some of how he was behaving in episode 1 of season 5. We saw some of that in season 4, the fallout of what happened with Eddie. I think that audiences would be like, oh, okay, so then Dustin really reacted to that. But what happens is that when we say cut, that's the end of the season or that's the end of the movie, and we fast forward into the future and we go, no, now Luke Skywalker is not the same guy as you saw him in Return of the Jedi. Like audiences just I think they have a hard time with that, because I think what the creators and the writers and the storytellers are hoping is that you will understand they experienced something that maybe you didn't even see on screen, or you did see on screen, but you didn't see the repercussions of it. And then can your brain get to where that character must be now? And the answer to that question is clearly no, because audiences have a hard time filling in the blank space.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like, kind of like, no, but I know this character. And it's like, no, you don't know this character because you didn't fill in the blank space with probably how they dealt with it. Now, I don't think that that's bad that audiences are mad. I just think that that's a lesson for like someone like me as a storyteller of like, oh, then I have to show why they feel that way more so than I would have thought I needed to, because we don't want to fill in that space. And maybe it's not even fair to ask people to fill in that space, to be honest, right? Like, so I think that that's kind of like the problem that is created. Because if you said to someone like, hey, look, here's a one-shot comic book that you have to read about Dustin before you watch season 5, it would fill in all the blanks. You'd be like, oh yeah, Dustin is really depressed. Like he's being bullied by these guys. He's really depressed. He clearly has a bad attitude. You would be like, it'd be weird if he's cracking jokes. But the last time we saw Dustin, he was cracking jokes, and up until Eddie's death.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, wait a minute. Like, I think that there's this. I think what happens is we see a character on screen, we get to know them, we don't see the fallout from what happened to them, and then we see them again, and it's like they're a year and a half forward, and all we remember is not what happened. We don't remember the trauma and like we don't fill in the gap of what the trauma response should be. We fill in the gap of like, no, this is the character I knew, and that is not this character, which I think is, it's kind of fair, to be honest. Like, it's not unfair, but to your point, I think that as an audience, what we have to do is we have to go like, okay, wait a minute, let's like really dig into this a little deeper, and then okay, we understand that that's Dustin, and then we hope that Dustin's character will be able to overcome some of that trauma and get back to the jokester so that we can fall in love with him again, right? Like, but this is the natural progression of how a character would be. So I see both sides of that argument, but it didn't bother me personally.
Yeah, and when the thing that bothered me was like the friend group, Mike and Will and Lucas. None of them really cared that he was pissed off or sad about Eddie's death still.
Yeah.
Like they pretty much was like, not get over it, but lock in. We need to fucking kill Vecna, and we don't need you to be stirring up the pot with other shit. So that was kind of hard to watch, because you can clearly see he's still going through it. You can clearly see that he's bothered by what happened to Eddie. And the last time we seen Dustin, he was crying to Eddie's uncle.
Yeah.
And I think that was a clear, for me at least, a clear sign that he's not going to be okay with it moving forward until he copes with it himself. And I assumed that we're going to be seeing that on screen because of how it ended. We're going to see him cope with how Eddie died on screen. And I prefer that because, like I said, it brings another um element to his arc. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So
Mhm.
a lot of people don't take that for consideration either. But you are correct. You are correct when you say it kind of is unfair to, you know, have them have to figure all that out without seeing it on screen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I do see that side now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, you know, it's one of those things. I don't think it's something that we would have ever thought about without social media. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Because like people weren't able to talk about things the way we're able to talk about things now. And so it changes the dynamic of storytelling a little bit because you understand more of where your audience is at more than you ever would have known beforehand.
Exactly.
And so, but yeah, I think let's put it this way. I think we're all rooting for Dustin to be able to deal with this traumatization in a way that he gets back to being funny Dustin. Like we
Hmm.
all want that Dustin. We don't want but it'd be like I think we have to give him grace because it'd be like, what if your friend went through some form of trauma and you're like, my friend's just an asshole now and I don't want to be around him. It's like, well, that's not a very good friend. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I got to be a good friend to him. So, but yeah, it's he. I mean, he's a great character. So, but he was pretty irritating, and I actually loved the interchanges between Steve and Dustin because Steve's
yeah,
like, bro, like, come on, man, like you're making some bad mistakes here, and I've been trying to support you, and I've been trying to be supportive, and I'm still here. I know you lost Eddie, but I'm still here. So I
yeah.
actually thought that was handled really well because Dustin was
Absolutely
being Dustin was a little bit
dismissive of
he's
feelings.
correct. He's justified in the emotional state he's in. Doesn't necessarily mean it justifies his behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. I want to jump into this because it is a huge question that
Mm.
I've had to make plenty of videos on TikTok. Why? Okay, I'm gonna jump forward just a little bit, just because it was alluded to us that Henry Creel
Oh
went to
yeah.
school with Joyce, Jim,
That was
Ted
crazy,
Wheeler.
right? Yeah.
Yes. And I'm not talking about the play. Everyone keeps talking about the first shadow play. I'm not talking about that.
Right.
What we saw in the show, Max and Holly are stuck in Henry's mind,
Mm-hmm.
stuck in his memories. We
Mm-hmm.
saw a memory that Henry Creel was starring in a play that Joyce directed,
Mm-hmm.
starring Jim Hopper. By the way, crazy to know that Jim Hopper was a actor or
Yeah, drama geek.
a drama geek. That was crazy.
Yeah,
But
that
Ted
was
Wheeler
crazy.
was in there. Karen was in
Mm-hmm.
there. Eddie's uncle Alan Munson. I think
Mm-hmm.
Alan Munson was in there,
Yep. Yep.
and then another one was in there. But we see that they're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
Um, fast forward or backtrack to episode 1,
Mm-hmm.
volume 1, episode 1. Um, Elle is training,
Mm-hmm.
and she mentions that Henry. She doesn't say Vecna. She doesn't say one. She says Henry doesn't care about blah blah blah. Like, but she says the name Henry to Joyce and Hopper,
Mm-hmm.
but doesn't say Henry Creel, doesn't say Vecna. She specifically says Henry.
Mm-hmm.
The adults don't confirm that they went to school with him, that they even know who this
Right.
Henry is.
Right.
What do you think about that? Because like I said, people keep asking me and talking about it, but did you notice that at first? And do you think that plays a role of like why these adults don't acknowledge that they went to school with him or even know him at this point?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, okay, so there's some things. Let me separate two things really quickly.
Okay.
Um, there are some times when you're creating films or TV. And by the way, I've done this on a very small scale, right? You know this because you've seen my films, but like not everybody watching us is going to have seen my films.
Yeah.
I've done this on a small scale. This is a giant scale. I mean, when you see the behind the scenes, I recommend everyone who loves this show go watch the behind the scenes episodes they've done on YouTube that are just amazing. They have one on each episode and they're all amazing. And when you see what it took for them to shoot episode 4, it's like mind blowing what went into that. It's so
Yeah.
crazy. So like there are gonna be things that like happen. I'll give you a good example. They never explain why the van breaks down and they need to get Steve's friend to come give them a jump start.
True.
Like that never like we don't know why the van stopped working. It's very unusual for vans even in that era, even in the 80s, it's very unusual for an engine that is running to stop running because the battery died. Because usually the engine running feeds the battery
It
and the
feels
battery.
about yeah.
So it's like I don't know how I don't know what happened, but obviously they needed that scene because that's when Dustin rolls up and then you needed Dustin to connect with them. So somewhere on the editing room floor, they were like, wow, this episode is like 2 hours long. We need to cut this section that explains why this van broke down, right? Like, and it doesn't mean anything.
Wait, question.
Yeah,
question. Sorry to cut you off. Question. If I'm remembering this correctly, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the van short out because of the Demogorgon on the flip on the upside down when they attacked the trucks in the upside down? Didn't that short out the van or no?
I'm trying to remember. You could be right. I'm trying to remember though, like which portion, because this is before they got Dustin, right? So they're chasing the Demogorgon.
Yeah, so they're chasing
Hopper.
They're chasing
Hopper's in the
Hopper,
upside down.
And Hopper was they were attacked by a Demogorgon.
Yes, correct.
On the upside down.
When he's in the caravan or the convoy or whatever. Yep.
And then the lights and stuff were flashing. Am I wrong? Did that not happen, or am I tripping?
Yeah, I don't remember a scene where the van is shown to be breaking down. Like, you're very much correct in terms of like that's exactly what could have caused it to short out, because they were right in the area, just in the upside down, where all that stuff was going down. That 100% could have happened that way. But the only point I'm trying to make is that do we really need to know? Like, we don't really need to know, right? So the only point I'm trying to make is that, like, sometimes information is either withheld from us, meaning, like, for example, they could have already discussed the fact that off screen, they could have already discussed the fact that, like, Henry is part of this and, like, they don't realize it. Or they could be withholding information from Hopper and Joyce and being like, hey, you don't realize it, but this is Henry Creel, the guy who was in the play with you guys. And, like, there are many storytelling reasons to not reveal that information. Either because you want those characters to be surprised later, or you want the audience to be surprised later, or it could be like with Star Wars, where, you know, Luke and Leia are kissing, and then later on he figures out, like, oh, well, they better be brother and sister. So okay, we'll just, like, kind of make that, like, story not be what it is. So there's a lot that goes into that. Personally, I think it's a really good question to ask, but I think we're going to get an answer. I think in the next 3 episodes, all of which are like an hour and a half long, dude, we're getting like a whole, like, 2 to 3 movies in the next section of episodes.
Absolutely.
Which I'm super stoked about. Well, I think we're going to get that question answered for sure. In fact, I'd be really shocked if we didn't see some of the play, because they foreshadowed the play. So if we don't see the play, I'd be kind of surprised. And I really kind of want to see the play. But yeah, I think we'll know then. Is it just that they've known this whole time that it's Henry, they just haven't revealed it to the audience? Or are they going to be like, Henry Creel, like, that little jerk is the one that's doing all this stuff? I don't know. But I have a feeling that, like, I don't know. I want to run this by you. This is a theory that I have, and this may connect. This is the only reason I'm bringing this up now, is because it may connect back.
Okay.
We see Holly when she's in Vecna's mansion.
Yeah.
His imagined mansion, obviously, because that's definitely like a fake thing that he's created. We see her go into his Boy Scout box, right? Yeah. And then we see Max take Holly into the crack in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, what that's doing is it's foreshadowing some trauma that Henry had as a child, related to his experience in the Boy Scouts. Now, what do we know about what he's doing? He's saying children are dumb and small, and I can manipulate them. Absolutely. I'm starting to think that Henry had some sort of experience as a child that traumatized him, and now because he feels like he was weak as a child, he's like, I'm going to go traumatize other children because they're also weak and I can get them. So I'm almost wondering if part of the storyline is going to be us realizing that Henry, because we never saw any trauma in Henry's past in his flashbacks yet. We just saw him being a total jerk to his family and saying, like, they don't understand anything, and then I'm gonna, like, kill him, basically, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if some of that trauma that his parents never saw was related to his experience in the Boy Scouts and related to that location that Max is in.
Well, they give us an example of it being just that, Jay. Did you
Yeah.
notice a they gave us the Boy Scout and how it's related to his trauma because of the telescope that she grabbed out of it.
Right.
If you notice, the telescope had a cut out of the cap.
Yes.
And the cap, the same shape that was cut out was the same shape of the rock that was cut out that Max and Holly were looking out of.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
those are connected in that way.
There
So
you go.
the shape in the rock was the same shape as that was cut out from the cap of the
Oh, that's
telescope, right?
crazy.
That's
Yeah,
what it's
yeah,
called.
telescope.
The telescope.
So now imagine this. Imagine that Joyce and Hopper and the Wheelers realize that one of their friends, who was probably not a core friend, he wasn't probably part of the cool group, he was probably kind of an outsider, and they realize that one of their friends had been traumatized as a younger kid, and they need to sort of like try and reel him back in and like I don't want to say that he should be comforted because he's done a lot of really bad shit, but to say like the same thing with the Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, right? Where it's like not to the redemption level of Darth Vader, because I don't think that that's going to happen for Vecna, but to be able to say like, how can you be traumatizing these kids? Oh, you were traumatized and we didn't really band around you to like be better for you. I think that they could at least like take Vecna and like cause him, or Henry, and cause him to be like introspective for long enough to be distracted so that they can kind of take him over. So I have a feeling that they're going to realize at some point that this is Henry, that weird kid from school, and he's the one traumatizing everybody. But then they're going to realize it's because he was traumatized, and then they're going to feel somewhat not sorry for him, but like, oh, we can try to recover him from just destroying the world if we talk to him, and there might be something there. I mean, I have no idea, but
Yeah,
I'm just hypothesizing here.
My theory, because of this is me connecting the dots here. Okay, so we find out in previous seasons that Dr. Brenner took Henry Creel at some point. We don't know if it was, obviously we do know it had to have been in the high school era or a little bit after the high school era. Whatever that play was that happened, it had to have been either that day that Dr. Brenner took him or the day after or sometime close.
Yes.
Because if we saw the tattoo, Dr. Brenner tattooing Henry Creel, I'm
right,
thinking
and it was the older Henry, right?
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
yeah.
And I'm assuming it was the old. No, the one who got tattooed looked like the one that killed his parents. Like
okay, it was a younger
same
one
actor, same kid. But
yeah,
I'm assuming Dr. Brenner didn't find out until maybe years later or a year later or whatever. Because if you remember, it was Victor Creel who was blamed for everything.
That's right,
the father.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that we seen. So we're assuming that he went to school with the grown-ups in the show.
Yeah,
Joyce,
which means he
Hopper.
probably was already part of the program.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they went to school together, right? My theory is that they either became friends or he was getting bullied because his father is known as the killer and they were there to comfort him. Because there's a lot of stuff that happened with that. We saw that Hopper didn't die from a Demogorgon. Joyce didn't die or even get swiped from a Demogorgon when she went up against him. He only flung Joyce. So I'm assuming that whatever happened, as far as them not knowing who he is because he suppressed their memories of him even existing or even being
that's a good theory. Yep.
So that, I mean, there's no evidence of them being or have the ability to suppress the feelings like directly, but all we know is that Elle did it accidentally because she didn't want to, see that trauma.
Right.
Remember when Dr. Brenner took her and got her memories?
Oh yeah. And she took her. She thought she was the monster that whole season.
Exactly. So I don't have any evidence of like them doing it directly to another person. They just did it on themselves. But that's my theory as far as like them not remembering or them acknowledging that they know
that's
Henry.
a great theory.
Their memories are suppressed by Henry in some kind of way.
Because
I feel like we know enough that it's Henry Creel. His name had to have been brought up, but they don't tell the audience that they know him or even went to school with him, even though they showed us evidence that they know each other now.
Yeah, exactly.
So those are the dots I connected within that and not seen. But what do you think? Does that kind of
Yeah,
Do you think he will
that
have that
drives really
ability to
well.
do it?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know that we know all of what Vecna is capable of yet. Like he clearly is more powerful than he was before.
Mhm.
Um we don't know. So there's certain things we don't know that I'm actually wondering about, right? Like, for example, the psionic weaponry that the military has is really effective against L and against 8 because
Mhm.
she's surrounded by him. Well, does it work against Vecna or not? Because they didn't even try to use it against the Demogorgons or Vecna when he walked
Yep.
out. Like, they didn't even
Very true.
try. So the question would be like, do those things work against Vecna and they were just too distracted, or like they don't work at all? Um and he has a different kind of power set than even 11 and 8 have. And we already know that 11 and 8's powers are different anyways. They don't have the exact same powers.
Yeah.
So I think that we could, and we also know that Vecna has a really, really strong ability to make other people see what he wants them to see, similar to what 8 can do.
8, yeah.
But a little bit different because he's more inside their head than and she's almost more like projecting outside their head. I mean, only they can see it, so to a certain extent it's inside their head, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so I think it would not be surprising to me at all if Henry erased the memory of himself from the people in the play, like you're saying. Like that could
Yep.
be totally the case. It would be really fascinating if that happened.
And I'm assuming something crazy happened either at that play, because obviously we know
Mhm.
that Henry Creel was not a popular kid in high school, assuming because
Yeah,
of what when Joyce gave Harrington, a younger Harrington, or the Harrington's father,
yeah,
the paper, he crumpled it and threw it on the ground. You
right.
know, so obviously not many people like Henry Creel or this play. So my assumption is that something happens on that day of the play, because if you remember, or if you've seen, look at the flyer, the day of the play is November 6th, the same day
Right,
that Will went missing.
right, right,
So
right,
that's when I'm assuming something happens, and then after that, Dr. Brenner takes Henry Creel and then the rest is
yep.
history.
Yeah,
So
that wouldn't be surprising at all because we know there's a couple other things we know. We know that Brenner was controlling Henry with
mhm,
the chip that 11 takes out of him so that he can become super powered again.
yeah,
And it would not surprise me at all if Dr. Brenner was working with Henry and was like, "Look, we have a lab in Hawkins where we're doing all of this stuff to kids. But I don't want anyone to know that I'm doing this stuff to kids. So I'm going to keep letting Henry go out into the high school and just let him interact normally with other kids. And then that
mm,
goes diabolically wrong for some reason, right? And then he's like, okay,
that could
now
be
you're
it
back
too.
with me. Now I got to go get other kids. I got to collect other kids because you're too crazy. All of those things. Because if you also look at the other kids, there's not that many kids who are nearly as old as Henry is.
No,
They're almost all, like, I would say the next youngest kid is probably like 5 or 6 years younger than what
yeah,
Henry is, perceptively, from what we see
yeah,
in season 3. Was it season 3? Is it the flashbacks? Yeah, I think so.
yeah. Season 3, yeah.
Season 3 and 4 to a certain. Oh no, because it's actually 4 because we don't really see Vecna until
Oh,
4.
that's
So
right.
it's
That is
season 4.
correct. That is
Yeah.
correct.
So I've seen so many episodes, dude. They all start to blend together in a
Yeah.
way. So I've rewatched the series like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times probably. And so we know that Henry is older than the other kids that they brought in. So clearly Brenner was trying to work with Henry alone for a long period of time, and then must have decided like he's too psychotic for whatever
Yeah,
reason. Because we saw him being psychotic as a younger kid. So, and that
absolutely.
would have been, I think, after he was probably a Boy Scout, right? So it's
Oh,
like,
okay, yeah, yeah.
what, something happened to him as a Boy Scout that kind of broke him to where he was like, I started to like spiders, and I started to see everyone else as like being evil around me. And they didn't see what I saw, and they didn't get it, and all that kind of stuff. So I think that there's some sort of traumatic event happens as he's a Boy Scout in the location where Max is, which is why he feels like he can't go back there. Probably because he feels like he was at his most vulnerable point and therefore powerless. And he's like, I don't ever want to feel powerless again. So I'm never
Yeah.
gonna go back to that zone. And then, but we're filling in a lot of blanks that we don't have answers to yet. So
I know.
hopefully we'll get those answers. But it's fun to do. So hey, why not?
Absolutely. I love talking theories, and we'll talk about what we know for this one, because we see Hopper and we see 11.
Mhm.
Um, at first, Hopper is just stubborn trying to get 11 in the upside down. He doesn't want it. Obviously, we know the trauma between his real daughter who had passed, and he doesn't want to see that happen to 11. He's playing the father role when it comes to 11. But 11 is smarter now. She's stronger. We see her, training, and she's able to jump really high by using her powers. Like she's getting smarter and smarter, but still Hopper doesn't want her to be there. And then when we see that she goes to the upside down and saves Hopper and sees, all the stuff that's there, the dynamic gets a lot stronger as well. So I love that character, those two characters together. And it's not just a father and daughter thing. They do work together, especially in the upside down, and they work together a lot within the rest of the seasons. But talk to me about the dynamic and how maybe hard it is to write something like that as well.
Yeah, it can be really difficult. In fact, one of the things that, again, I recommend watching the behind the scenes stuff, because Frank Darabont, one of the co-creators of The Walking Dead, I'm pretty sure, but also like a really good filmmaker. Like he's done a bunch of stuff that's really cool. Frank Darabont directed episode 3. First time Frank Darabont worked with Stranger Things. He didn't work on any of the previous seasons.
Wow.
Yeah. So Duffer Brothers directed all the other episodes, 1, 2, and 4. But Frank Darabont directed 3, which was, again, my favorite of the 4. And one of the things that he said that I thought was really good, because I mentioned to my wife in episode 1, I was like, are we seriously going to have like Elle and Hopper like at each other's throats again the entire like every season it's like that. Like you get season 2, he's like, welcoming her into his home and giving her food and be like, you can't go out to anywhere, you can't go outside, you can't do anything. And then in season 3 it's like more of the same, and in season 4 it's even more of the same. And so I was kind of like, what is going to happen here? And Frank Darabont, David Harbour was speaking in an interview and said one of the things that Frank Darabont was kind of stressing as he directed episode 3, which is, again, in episode 3, 11 and Hopper are they reach the wall, and then the whole team of guys shows up, and they have the psionic thing, and they psionically blast 11, and he has to drag her over behind the billboard. They get into the big fight. Well, one of the things that Frank Darabont has said is, I really want you to lean into not only the bickering, but I want you to lean into like being proud of her for what she's accomplished. And like that, I think, was like great, because that gave 11 and Hopper a slightly different aspect to their relationship that we have not seen at all. We've seen him love on her. We know that he does love her. We also know that he's very fearful of losing her, which makes him be like kind of a jerk to her. But what we really haven't seen is him saying like, I'm really proud of the superpowered person that you've become. And he's still saying you need to be cautious about that. You can't just go do whatever you want to. But I really like that. And seeing that behind the scenes, I was like, that's exactly what this season needed. Like, it's exactly what we needed from Hopper and Elle, was a slightly different take on their relationship than we had seen previously. And I loved it.
And I loved it too. And the reason why I brought it up is because we seen that already. We've seen them bicker and complain and yell at each other and fucking damn near her throw them out of the house. Literally.
yeah, exactly.
We are seeing a different dynamic when it comes to them, and I love that. And you've seen him trust her in episode 4. You've seen him, I'll trust you, do your thing. Let's do this. And the only thing I hated, within that, not their dynamic, but the storyline or the thing they're doing at the wall. I don't like that they abandoned the things that they can do there. Or they didn't go into more detail. Like the dude pissed on it, like that was something significant, and Elle called it out. It's very significant on them, him peeing on it. What was so significant about it? And I hate that they just left that there. I mean, I understand that they had to go because they knew more people were going to come, but I hate that they didn't give us more of what that could be, because they pretty much just like, okay, that's it. We can't do anything else. Let's leave Holly. Let her be now. It just sucks that it ended like there's not them. They went to I think they're at Hawkins' lab, or no, where are they? They're at the base. They're at the base. In the upside down. I hate that they just went there and just like, okay, well, Holly's gone. I didn't really like that part. I got to be honest.
Well, I think so. There's several things in there too that, again, like, here's what happens when you don't show us what, like, when you give us a time gap. Here's the problem. Here's the difficulty with time gaps. Because the one thing I said to my wife was like, they've done over 30 crawls and they've never run into the wall before.
Yeah.
Like they already said, like, the zone isn't that big, and they've already been through some of these other zones before. Like, you haven't seen the wall ever before. Like, that's kind of strange. Now, granted, it wouldn't take much for them to have a side storyline that says, like, no, these are the zones that we've checked so far, but we haven't been far enough out to see where the wall is. But like, they didn't give us that, and so we're kind of like, it's kind of like, oh, okay, I guess they had never seen the wall before. So to your point, she tries to separate the wall, and it all grows back together. I've heard other people theorize that what Vecna is building is he's actually building
a clock.
Well, I haven't heard that one actually. That's kind of interesting. This one was that he's actually building the circle where the wormhole will go.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
yeah, so that's one of the ones that I heard.
Wormhole that the teacher was teaching
Correct.
Erica. Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
correct. Because even when you see his, like, the interior of his when Will sees the interior of what he's building and when he's got the kids and stuff like that, it does have kind of like a concavish kind of shape to it. It's actually the opposite of that. It's kind of more like this, whereas like the wormhole is more like this. But like, so I don't know. But either way, the wall is kind of a cool feature, but it is weird that they don't know about the wall at all, and that they do give up on, like to your point, Hopper and 11 don't know that it's a wall that goes all around. They don't know that it's a circle, because Dustin is the one that figured that out. Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, it is kind of that whole aspect of it. I agree with you. Is we need more information on it, and the information that we've received thus far has not been super satisfactory. It's like, wouldn't you guys be doing more here? The other thing we don't have as much information on, I don't know if you agree with me on this, is like, we know that Brenner was trying to learn more about remote viewing predominantly so that he could spy on the Russians.
Correct.
And then we also know that I forget Paul Reiser's character name, but the guy who takes over for Brenner when Brenner's supposedly kicked out or whatever.
Yeah.
You remember his name?
No, I don't. All I know is that I don't even know if he was a doctor. Was he?
I think he was. He had a lab coat on at one point in time. But anyway, so he takes over, and now it's kind of like, no, I'm just the friendly guy, but he clearly wants to know the same things that Brenner knew. He's just not going to do the same things to the kids that Brenner was willing to do to the kids, right?
Yeah.
And so, but now the question is, what is Linda Hamilton's character, Dr. K? What is she trying to do? Because we know that she's diabolical enough to force 8 to do whatever she wants. That's why I'm assuming the reason why she has all of these psionic things pointed at 8 is it's kind of like, as soon as you do something I don't want to do, I'm going to zap you with the psionics. But so you better do what I want you to do. Well, what exactly does she want 8 to do? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how much do they know about Vecna? How much are they concerned about Vecna? What are they trying to accomplish with Vecna? The other thing I would say is that we don't know what the wall is. We don't know why the military is letting Vecna do whatever he wants to do. It's just a little bit, those things are a little bit, obviously they're going to be answered in the next 3 shows, but not having the answers to those is like, I want answers to those, because it's just weird not having them.
Exactly. The theory I saw about the wall is like, it is round, so it's in the shape as a clock. We all know that Vecna is connected to the grandfather clock in his house, and then the 12 numbers that represent the clock are the 12 children that he took from that. And I've got to admit, I like the wormhole theory better, because I put 2 and 2 together as you were talking. You see in the trailer that we didn't a scene in the trailer that we didn't see in volume 1 was that random person falling from the sky. I don't know if you remember that part of the trailer. That makes me think that that's the wormhole. Someone falling through the wormhole, which they want to try to prevent. But but that's the other, the clock thing was like, okay, that makes sense a little bit.
Well, I was wondering why they needed 12. Like, why 12? That's a random number, like that's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think that there are a bunch of good theories out there. I mean, the problem with theories, here's the problem with theories, and here's why I don't usually talk about theories too much unless I'm invited on a show like yours, is because as a writer, so this is the difficulty of like telling stories. You want to satisfy the audience,
Yeah.
right? Well, let's just say that you come up with a better theory than I could come up with as a writer. Like like let's just say I have a sequel to No Vacancy.
Yeah.
I don't yet. I mean, I have a script for it, but and then you tell me later on after I've already made the thing, you're like, oh, I had this idea for the sequel to No Vacancy. What if you did this? And let's say that I'm like, oh, I actually like that a lot, but I didn't do that. That's okay. I won't worry about that. Well, the problem now I have as a creator is that it's hard to satisfy you because you already have a pretty good result,
Yeah.
right? So that's why I don't like getting too much into like talking about theories, except for when it's fun. Like you and me are doing this and it's fun. Because sometimes I can actually like I'll hear a theory from you. My other friend, Michael Young, Nerd Soul, is really good at this too. He'll be like, "What about this?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's actually awesome." Well, if they don't do that awesome thing, then I'm like disappointed, right? Like I'm like, "Oh, I'm bummed out they didn't do that." I think some people can separate that a little bit. Like you're a pretty big fan of things, so you can separate that out and be like, "They didn't do what I did, but this is still cool."
Yeah.
But there's some people who are like, "They didn't do what I did, and therefore it sucks." And it's like, "Oh well, I mean, I don't know if it sucks, but." That's the only reason that theories can be difficult because
totally
they're all
understandable
cool.
because it also, you know, it makes you think too much as well. Like it's
Yeah.
cool to theorize about things, but it makes you think too much, and then like you said, you see the end result, and you're kind of underwhelmed because you think you had a better idea. And you know that I definitely see that. And like I said, like you said, it is fun to do it like on things like this or we theorize. But I am the same way as far as like people who have they ask me, "Who do you think is gonna die in the next couple shows?" I was like, "I don't want to answer that. I'm not gonna answer that. I don't want to know because it's not good. For one, they already mentioned that it's not Game of Thrones. We're not going to see this fucking red wedding, and we're not, it's not that kind of show. That's depressing." He's like, I'm not trying to get you guys depressed, but something might, if it does happen, it's not going to be something like that. So, that I hate talking about that as well. So I definitely understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about let's talk about episode 4.
Okay.
I want your thoughts on your likes and dislikes and why I think you said it is a 7, correct?
Yeah.
You gave it a 7.
Yeah.
Elaborate on that because I thought it was one of the best episodes that I've seen in years.
Yeah, and a lot of people agree with you. A lot of people
Yeah.
agree with you. So I might be on an island over here by myself. But again, like one of the things I said this at the beginning of the show, but I'll say it again. It's difficult when you start studying something like storytelling because it's really difficult because if you go like, oh, I feel like they shortcutted things, or I feel like this wasn't actually, they didn't earn this moment. It can be difficult for you because you're like, it's not that I don't like the moment. It's not that I don't want the character to end up there. It's the steps that they took to get there I would have done differently. It's just the same thing as like the theories thing, right? It's like you can't help it. I can't help but think like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing, but I would have done it differently. So the only two things that about episode 4 that and I want to be really clear about this too, because I don't want people to hear the wrong thing that I'm saying. But let me do the first one that no one's going to care about as much, and that is the Vecna portion of taking kids.
Okay.
We know that Vecna took Will because that's what the opening scene is of this thing, the whole season 5 is Vecna taking Will. But then Vecna started taking teenagers, and like he was convicting them about their behaviors that they were guilty and shameful about to try and take them that way. And now he's sort of reverting back to kids. And that to me was a little bit like it again, not having the fill-in space between season 4 and season 5. That just bugged me ever so slightly. Like, why switch to kids? Like, and now because you already were doing that with Will, and then the second thing that bugged me about it was, and this is obviously the arrogance of Henry, is that he kept saying like his kids are kind of stupid and I'm picking the weakest kids of all. Well, the two kids that we saw him pick, Holly and Derek, are like not weak at all. They're actually they're pretty good kids. Like Holly's gonna get Max out of out of Henry's mind, and Derek almost saved 12 kids. It wasn't his fault they didn't save 12 kids. And so I was kind of like, I I really liked the Vecna of season 4 where he was like playing with their minds. I didn't like as much that he's like, oh, forget playing with their minds. I'm just taking kids now. So that was one thing I did. Now, they'll probably explain that better, and so that will like be solved for me, and that won't be a problem. But the other problem I had with episode
Wait, real quick
4,
before you go off to that one.
yeah.
I want to say this because it's not a spoiler for those who've seen the episode or this. Anyway, it's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
They interviewed I forgot his name, who plays Vecna.
Oh, Jamie. I don't remember his last name.
But him.
Yeah.
He did an interview asking like why Holly was the first one he took. And this was a big part of why it made sense why he took Holly.
Okay.
He said Holly's character is a smart character. She's very witty, she's very smart, she's very intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can convince her that I'm the good guy and I could take her and save her, it won't be hard taking the rest because she's going to be the most difficult.
She's going to help me out. He'll even maybe help me out and whatever.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Interesting.
So that I think that as far as whatever they need these kids for, I'm assuming that was the reason why he started with
Got
her.
it.
You know what I'm saying?
So, yeah.
Continue.
So hopefully they'll actually talk about that a little bit more, because what he says to Will in the episode is kind of like, kids are stupid and I can just take them whenever I want to.
Exactly.
And you're, what? I don't know what you're talking about. So hopefully they'll come back around to that a little bit more. Now that was a very, very minor issue for me, right? Was not a major issue. So let me be really clear on how I talk about this, because I want people to understand exactly what I'm saying and not misinterpret. I love where it ends up. The fact what happens at the end of episode 4 with Will is awesome, and I want Will to get there. There's no question in my mind that is not where we want Will. But here's the problem that I have. There was a trope that started coming out in movies and TV kind of in the 2010s. Okay. And usually the trope didn't bother me. It bothered a lot of other people, and it was like, oh, I can't stand it. And people came up with like names for it and be like, oh, it's a Mary Sue character. Oh, it's a this, that, the character. This is that. They used to call Ray that, and they used to say Ray like is all powerful and shouldn't be all powerful. And I was like, it doesn't bother me. I'm totally fine with it. However, there is a point to be made here about storytelling, and that is there are two aspects that a character has to overcome to become a superpowered character. The two aspects are they have to overcome the mental hurdle of understanding what it means to be a superpowered character and unlocking the ability to become a superpowered character. However, they also have to learn the physical nature of what it means to be superpowered and how it works and how did they utilize their powers and when they utilize their powers. And 11 does this, right? 11 takes seasons worth of understanding like, oh, I can do things when I'm mad. This is what she learns in season 4. But it's even more powerful if I draw back on good memories and utilize good memories to do what I want to be able to do. And so for me, what I don't like is I don't like this idea that characters could be superpowered if only they would believe enough. I like it when it's like, no, that's part of it. Yes, you have to gain confidence in yourself. But one of the ways that we as human beings gain confidence in ourselves is not just by someone telling us how much we should be confident. If you told me today, AJ, you should be really confident in basketball. You should be think of all the memories of yourself playing basketball as a kid, and then boom, just go dunk a basketball. You'd be like, I don't have the ability to do that. Like I would look like a complete moron trying to dunk a basketball. But if you said to me, Jay, not only am I going to give you the confidence that you're a good basketball player and that you're worthy of becoming a good basketball player, I'm going to actually train you in how to jump higher so that you can dunk a basketball. And I do both those things. Now I'm unstoppable, right? Okay. So the one problem that I have with what happened with Will is that everything that happens in that episode with Will, I love it, but I don't think he should have been as super powered as he was. It should have been a little dialed back. Maybe just one Demogorgon that he does it to. And maybe he's kind of surprised that he did it instead of doing it on 3 different ones in 3 different locations. And that was just a little bit much like me going like, seriously, you just tell the kid that he can do it, like that he should be confident in himself. Not that he's as powerful as Vecna, not that, oh, you can do what Vecna does, but rather just that one. Again, I love that moment. I love that. I love all of that. It's just that it feels a little bit unearned because I'm like, do some smaller things first and then do that big one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I get what you're saying. I looked at it like this. I think it was more of the writers and the Duffer Brothers telling us what Vecna had said to him previously, kind of unlocked for him. What the potential it was unlocked for him. I get what you're saying. If you look at it that way, he didn't earn though that amount of powers and was able to control those powers that quick when it was just all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think with what I interpreted from it was them telling us what Vecna is trying to do going forward with not only the kids, but with, because if you remember while he was talking to Vecna, he says you were the first. He made Vecna made Will Henry Creel to Henry Creel to Dr. Brenner. He was the first. He's one. He is now one. He was the test subject. This is what's going to happen. And I think that was all being suppressed by the other feelings that he had for Mike, and that he wasn't able to accept himself. Now that we know that he was able to accept himself, and that monologue that was playing with of Robin talking to him previously, and that truly unlocked Will's, his a different side of Will. I think it paid off well because you know what I'm saying? The payoff, the payoff was perfect for me in that sense, because we know why he was taken. We knew what he did to him. We know now that he's able to tap into the hive mind. Not only is he able to tap in the hive mind, he's able to tap into the powers that Vecna wields. He's able to control the Demogorgons. And I think obviously he can't just use these powers like Elle can use hers. He has to tap into the hive mind to be able to siphon those powers, rather than what 11 can do. So to me, I think the payoff was worth it because of what it led up to and how it was displayed with the Robin monologue and the words that Vecna had told him previously, like, you are weak, this and this, and he showed him I'm not. You know what I'm saying? But I do agree with you on the power that he did wield in front of everyone and front of the viewers, that it was a lot for someone who never had used his powers previously.
And I think I mean, okay, so let's talk about the emotional journey. The emotional journey I love. You talked about it. Let's go backwards in the emotional journey. He is seeing his friends about to be obliterated by monsters that he is partially seeing through their eyes, right? And so from an emotional standpoint, I think it all works from an emotional standpoint. I'm not concerned about the emotional standpoint of it at all. It's very much like you said, a great payoff. The step we have before that is that he has to realize, emotionally speaking, I'm not necessarily just a victim. I also can do things that I also have some agency of my own, right? That's amazing too. I love that aspect of it. And remembering back to, like, okay, what does it mean to constantly repress myself? And now not have to, I think it's phenomenal. Like, great. Then we go back a little bit further and they have the conversation with Mike, where Mike is like, you're like the sorcerer. Like, are you sure you weren't controlling the Demogorgon a little bit? Maybe like you even prevented it from hurting your mom. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, oh, I don't know, maybe. And so obviously they said like he could control them a little bit, sort of subconsciously. And so all of that I have zero issues with, zero problems. We even go back further into season 2, where he's like telling them, like, this is, remember when he's tapping on the chair and he's giving them the Morse code, so like we didn't know it was Vecna because we thought it was the Mind Flayer, but the Mind Flayer is not able to know what he's doing because he's tapping on the chair even though he's saying other stuff, or like listening to them say other stuff to him. So like we know that he has some abilities there. It's just that I would have liked to have seen it be a little bit less, like, this is what it feels like to me. It feels like it's kind of like hint, boom, superpower. And what I would have done from I would have been like hint, oh guys, I think I might be able to, like, did I control something? I'm not sure if I controlled that. Oh wait, I did manipulate this a little bit. Okay, cool. Okay, bam, now I'm at superpower. And then it goes like, okay, now it's a smooth arc for me as opposed to kind of being
Yeah.
like jump arc. And again, is that a complaint that the average audience member needs to have? No. It's just
No, yeah.
me as a storyteller, I'm
Yeah.
going like, well, okay, I would do it a little differently if I did it. And then, so I'm not telling anybody that they should be bummed out by it. You should love it if you love it. I'm just saying that's why my rating goes down a little bit, because I would have
Absolutely.
more of that.
And it's very understandable too, because like you said, you do tell stories and you have books and movies out. It's like there's different ways you would go about it, and it not sucks because what you put out is great, but it sucks that like you have to dig deep into certain things when it comes to storytelling and
Yeah.
figure out why did they get to this conclusion, why did they get
Yes.
here, and sometimes you just want to like, wow, that was great, and
I
not have to
know.
think about it.
I
But
know.
you can't just turn that off.
You can't just turn it off. In fact, this is literally what happened to me when I started. My first screenwriting course was in college. I had not written a screenplay before that. I'd only written books, and my professor said, "By the way, I'm going to ruin movies for you. Like you're going to learn this, and it's going to ruin movies for you."
Yeah.
And what it really truly does is it makes a movie that is done to perfection
Even
mean
better.
even more to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I realize what it took to get there and what they had to think about to get there. But if there are ever any, like, I'll give you another example, and people will disagree with me on this too. I love Breaking Bad. Okay, Breaking
Mhm.
Bad is one of my favorite shows of all time. Breaking Bad earns every little tiny bit of conflict and every single twist that it ever gets. It earns it across the board. The level of storytelling in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul is such perfection that I have such an appreciation for it, right?
Gotcha.
But I started watching Ozark because people were like, "Oh, you should watch Ozark. It's just like Breaking Bad." And I started watching Ozark and I'm like, Ozark does this thing, which I would consider as a storyteller is a hack. Okay. No, I
Okay.
don't mean like it's hacky writing or anything like that. I mean, it's a brain hack. And
Yeah.
that is that if I have not earned a level of conflict, I introduce something into the scene that makes the conflict go from 0 to 100, but it's
Gotcha.
not earned. So, for
Yeah.
example, if you and I are having a conversation and we're talking about, okay, well, there's a drug deal about to go down in like 3 episodes, and so you and I are talking about it, right? And if I feel like as a writer there's not enough tension in this scene, I have you tell me something crazy. Like I have a grenade in my pocket. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh
Like,
shit. Like you have a
what?
grenade in your pocket?" Yeah. And
Yeah.
so that's what Ozark does a lot. Like they'll bring up like they'll be talking about something else and be like, "Oh, by the way, I'm cheating on my wife," or whatever. And it's like, "What?"
You're
Like,
like,
yeah, but there's no, it's going from a 0 to 100 instead of going 0 to 10 to
yeah.
20 to 30. And sometimes you can skip those steps and do surprises and stuff like that. I'm not saying you can't, but so when you see it done in perfection, it's hard to watch it done and be like, "Oh, I know that was a little bit of a hack." Like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't diminish the moment; it just diminishes how you got there.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where it's
And
harder for me as a storyteller.
I think that I think for especially a show like this and the amount of time it has to get the point across,
Yeah.
they could have done exactly how you were saying, where they do 10, 20%, 30%, and then they go to the conclusion of it. But I think the shock factor and the ripple that it sent to the viewer, or to its viewers and
Yep.
its fans, will it trumped how they got there, and at least in my eyes. And not
I
that
think
saying
you're right.
the way you look at it was wrong, because
Right.
you're absolutely correct. But I think they were willing to they were willing to not have to do that, so they have the shock factor and the
Correct.
after effect of how it was given to the viewers,
And they
and it
and they
paid
may have
off for them.
had other scenes that did what I wanted them to. And
Exactly.
they were like, "Hey, we don't really need that. We still get the punchy moment with Will that we
Yeah.
want with Will." And that moment, even if not earned, in my opinion, is an amazing moment, right? So
Yes.
like, it's not that I'm complaining about, like, oh, again, it's my favorite show of all time.
Yeah.
Like I love it, like there's nothing about it that I don't love. And I love that Will ends up there,
Yeah.
and now we know something. We set it up in a very interesting way for the next 3 episodes, right? Because now I thought it was gonna be like Empire Strikes Back, where they lose.
Yeah.
But they didn't really lose. That, in fact, in most cases, they won. Now, there's an indication that Vecna still has a lot of power, but what have we learned? We've learned Vecna has this huge spot of weakness in one of his memories that they're definitely going to capitalize on,
Yep.
and they're going to use it to get Max back in some way, shape, or form. We learned that Holly is now not being controlled by Vecna. She's actually working with Max. We learned that they were able to save some of the kids. Some of the kids may not have been totally saved, but a lot of them have been saved. Vecna showed up, was super powered, looks amazing in the new design element of his it's so cool, dude.
Badass.
Super badass. And then the government is even being like overcome to a certain degree. So I was surprised by that, but it was super cool to see. Like, so we know that the next 3 episodes that they're going to be hammered by Vecna because we have to get them back down into oh no, this was just not going that well to be able to get us back to concluding the series well. And so it was a really interesting place to end the first half of what we're watching, or the first third or whatever it is. And so I liked it a lot. It's just that, yeah, I'm bringing up little micro problems that I had with it. They're not like major problems in any way, shape, or form.
And totally valid too. Totally valid. And like you said, there's ways where it pays off.
Yeah.
And for this particular example, it paid off for them for sure. Just because of the amount of videos I put out myself, but videos that I've seen online of the shock value of Will getting his powers and how he's able to use them. By the way, for those who don't know, this isn't the end of Will's powers. He gets powerful. He gets way more powerful from what the Duffer Brothers have alluded to. But we did see him use this ability, which I thought was the extent to his powers, was able to see through the eyes of Holly at first, and then he was able to see through the eyes of the Demogorgons. I thought that was it. So that was my lead up to, okay, he has powers, but what are these powers? And when he did what he did, he was able to control and kill them. People thought that, okay, even I thought at first, I was like, okay, he has powers like 8, he has powers like 11, he has powers like Henry, like, but once I looked into it and actually sat down, okay, I was like, no, he siphoned those powers from Henry. Because of what we saw the previous, because he was able to see through the Demogorgon's eyes, he is able to, do what Vecna can do to the Demogorgon. So I love that they didn't just give him powers like they give 11 and 8.
Totally.
I love the way they did that, because to me that would have been a fucking cop out.
Yeah.
A big cop out. They just give him these powers. Like, okay, they did take him in the first 5 minutes of volume 1. They took the young Will. We seen that and whatever they put into him, but we don't know. That wasn't the same serum that he gave. The Dr. Brenner gave those pregnant ladies while they were pregnant. It wasn't the same shit. So I love that they were able to do it that way, and I love that he can't just use it anytime he wants to. He has to be tapped into the hive mind. You know what I'm saying? So that was a beautiful part of that whole thing, and that whole explanation of he's not like 11 or 8. He's his own separate kind of power.
Yeah. And the scary thing is there may be an implication here. This is the scary part, that Vecna now can have almost like a double of himself if he can control Will.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary too. So I think that there may be something that happens in the next 3 episodes where Will is like, Vecna is like, aha, you realize you can use my powers, but what you didn't realize is I can trap you in a mind prison and utilize my powers through you too.
Yeah.
That would be a really interesting wrinkle, and I think it might happen only because then it transforms everything back to being, oh no, the party is screwed. You know what I mean? Like, because that's the next thing, is we have to see like the party is going to be screwed again somehow. Right? Like, that's just the nature of I don't think we're going to see him. I don't think we're going to see over the next 4.5 hours of Stranger Things them just keep defeating Vecna more and more. Like, it's unlikely,
Yeah.
So
all of this will be answered in the next coming episodes. Volume 2 drops Christmas Day, December 25th. So Merry Christmas to those who celebrate, and then we'll get the finale New Year's Eve. By the way, for those who don't know, New Year's Eve the finale will be in theaters. You have to do the research on where the theater will be playing it near you. But it is only going to be in there for 24 hours. They're only going to show 24 hours of the finale and then taking it right out on New Year's Day or I think like the second or something like that. But what is your real quick what's your opinion on that? Do you like that the finale is going to be set in theaters?
Oh man, that's a whole thing about what I think about theaters. Here's the problem with theaters. Like, and I can probably go like we could do a whole podcast on this, to be honest.
Yeah.
But because I have like a lot of thoughts about it. Because as a filmmaker, one of the things you hear from other filmmakers all the time is like the theatrical experience is really important. And I'm like, yeah, if it's good, but
Yeah.
half the time you go to these theaters and like they don't set the colors right. Like I saw Avatar 2 in the theater. It was awful. Why? Not because the movie was bad, because they didn't set the color settings right. It was all faded out. Like, yeah, it
Wow.
was a disaster, dude. I was like, I should get my money back for this. And in fact, because of that, when we moved into this house that I'm in now, I bought a used TV that's a really nice one. So that I could be like, I don't have to go to the theater. I can just watch whatever I want and have it be
Gotcha.
good at my house, you know? So I'm conflicted because like I love a great theater experience. It's awesome. But I also hate a bad theater experience. It's terrible and I spent more money
Yeah.
for it. So I'm kind of excited about it. And even as you were saying it, I was like, oh, I wonder if I should like try and get my friends to go watch it like in the theater, like if there's
Yeah.
one playing nearby. But at the same time, I mean, my friend has like I have a pretty nice TV, and my friend has one of those giant like 125-inch projector screens and has like a
Ooh,
professional
okay.
projector. So like I don't know, we have pretty good setups at our houses too. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. How do you
I
feel about it?
I mean, I like it, and because of this, I get what you're saying because the theater experience could be a hellhole, especially
Yes.
with the Stranger Things drop. The fans are gonna go crazy. There might be some
Yeah.
fucking idiots in there that ruin your experience.
Right,
You never
exactly.
know.
Exactly.
I always go back to my one of my best experiences in a movie theater ever was
Mm.
watching Endgame with the fans,
Oh yeah.
and the how Endgame turned out, and when he said Avengers Assemble, like that was the crowd went crazy. And if we see something like that in a theater watching Stranger Things after what we got in the first 4 episodes,
Yeah.
because I've loved it, I think it would top Endgame. And that's hard to say because I saw that is nostalgic to me because of who I saw it with
Yeah.
and what I saw, you know what I'm saying? So
That's amazing.
I want to go see it because of that, and hopefully I can replicate that movie experience. But
Yeah.
you are fucking correct because there is shit show fucking movie theaters that I've been to
Yeah.
where I just like fuck. So
Well, and especially
we'll
because
find
Netflix
out.
doesn't have like a really good relationship with theater chains either, because the theater chains kind of hate what Netflix does by not
Mhm.
releasing stuff in theaters as much. But yeah, I mean, oh, one thing I wanted to bring up right before we close out,
Yeah.
there's a rule in storytelling that if you show a gun in the first few minutes of the film, or any time in the film, really, but especially in the first part of the film, you have to then make it pay off. It can't just be like, oh, I have a gun and then nothing ever happens. You have to actually pay it off. And they showed us the flyer for the
Yes.
play. So I kind of feel like they've got to pay it off and show us more of that memory. So
I
I'm
agree.
hyped for it, dude. I'm so hyped for the rest of the season. I'm super excited. I love this. I love this TV show.
Yep.
It's like it's a significant. I would say that this TV show over the last 10 years has been a significant source of joy. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Over the course of 10 years, which has been amazing.
100%. And it's gone through a lot of its trial and tribulations because of COVID, because of the
Yep.
writer's strike, because of the everything. And 3 years later, we're getting cinema, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
dude.
So
Absolutely.
it's worth the wait for sure. But any last words before we get out of here, Jay?
If you like Stranger Things, go watch the behind the scenes stuff on the Stranger Things channel on YouTube, because the behind the scenes stuff, I mean, I'm watching it going like, oh, that's the camera they're using. Oh, fascinating. Oh, they built a bathtub with a clear
Yes.
side so they could dunk everybody in it.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's just like the amount of stuff that the amount of effort they put. They recreated downtown Hawkins inside a studio setup. Like that's
Yes.
crazy, dude. That's so amazing. So the amount of stuff that's going into this show is just phenomenal, and And so I would say that to people. And then if people want to see me like learn more about like how to make movies and all that kind of good stuff, you want to see the movies that I have written and produced and put out there, you can go to How Stories Work with Jay Sherer. That's my channel. And it's all about trying to learn to do better movies so that someday you can watch Netflix and instead of watching Stranger Things, you're watching something that I did.
Yep, exactly. And yes, guys, please go follow Jay Sherer. I'll leave everything down below. Go give his new movie Disclosure a follow. No Vacancy, his movie that he made before Disclosure, was out on the festival circuits. It's won what you said 12, 13 awards.
I think it's like 12 awards.
12 awards.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
That will, he said January, right? Correct.
January is
like
when I'm planning to release it. Yeah. Hopefully,
so
I gotta still figure it out, so it might be February, but sometime soon it'll be coming out.
Good. Go follow him down below. Go watch those movies. Go support Jay. He does amazing work. He's helped me a lot on making my current script that I'm writing, and it's going to be a lot of fun talking to Jay even more about Stranger Things as well. We're going to do more videos. We're going to be doing lives, so make sure you guys hit that follow button, that subscribe button with notifications on, so you guys are notified once the video is uploaded. We do a lot of TikTok lives for you guys who do have TikTok. We do TikTok lives. We talk about the show. We bring up people who are in the chat who want to discuss possible theories or possible ideas of what's going to go on. So if you guys want to go to Tones_TV on TikTok, we have a lot of fun over there as well. But thank y'all for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Love y'all.